Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Professor Eno. Actually, my name is Inocentus Alhamis, but you can just call me Eno, I-N-O. And today we had a video conference, and only 2 students showed up. I know and I understand that you guys may be busy with some other things, and this information came to you a little bit late, and so you may have some other plans, and I'm not blaming you for not attending. And if I remember in my announcement, I said I was going to record the discussion for those who were not able to participate. But what happened was, initially I had only one student, which was Mary. And so we started just talking while we were waiting for other students to show up. And then we picked up our discussion on the class. And later, Erica joined us and we kept on talking. And so I couldn't record the conversation. So I decided to go and record a very quick clip, which is this one. Now, the reason that I wanted to meet with you guys was first to introduce myself and get to know you, and also introduce the class and talk about it in general, because we didn't do this at the beginning. And finally, to address the homework assignment number 3, which is actually the problem that we have right now. So let me go very quick. I don't want to take much of your time, because I know that you don't want to listen to the long, or to view the long videos. So as I said, my name is Inocentus Alhamis, and so you can call me simply Eno, I-N-O. And this is my first time to teach at CUNY, but I have been teaching in some other universities. Currently, I'm full-time professor at Southern New Hampshire University, where I'm teaching business analytics, business research methods. I'm also teaching quantitative analysis, applied statistics, project management, some classes in economics, micro and macro, and so forth. Before becoming full-time professor at Southern New Hampshire University, I was a professor and the director of graduate programs at one university known as Revere University. And before that, I was teaching at SNU. After finishing my graduate studies, I did my graduate studies at Southern New Hampshire University, and fortunately I started teaching right when I joined with the university as a student. But before that, I lived in Japan, where I did my master's degree. And before that, I was in East Africa, in this wonderful country that is known as Tanzania. And I taught online at a university which is known as the Open University of Tanzania. But also I've been in many other places, like in Europe, in Asia, and in North America. Well, here I am teaching this class, and I'm really happy teaching it, the business or the research methods for business decision making. It is actually my favorite subject. Now, if I can talk a little bit about this class, what we are doing here is to look at how can we conduct research in business. And because all we need is, in business, what is needed is actually a decision. Always decisions in business require some evidence, or they should be what we call informed decisions. And we can only do that if we can involve data, because data will provide that kind of evidence. And so business research comes in, because in business research, all we do is we collect data, we analyze data, and we come up with outcomes, and we use the outcomes as evidences which will help decision makers to make informed decision. Now, you can see in our first homework assignment, that was a discussion to introduce yourself and also to come up with the research questions. And you guys did very wonderful job to come up with those questions. But you can see that in that homework assignment, I provided a number of comments. Especially, I saw that some of you came up with 3 or more questions in one question, which is not the right way to ask a research question. And some of you provided some information and then asked questions based on the information. And we can say that way you are leading the respondent to answer the way you want it to be, which is not allowed in research methods. So immediately I thought, what was the problem? Actually, that's what I was going to ask you today. What is the problem? Do you guys have any prior knowledge in research methods, or you needed this kind of information before you do that homework assignment? But anyways, as I said, you put a lot of effort and you came up with really good questions, and you were rewarded based on the efforts that you put on that homework assignment. The second homework assignment had also some problems. I saw a number of students actually thought that that homework assignment was asking you to come up with a research topic, which is not true. But some students also sent me email, some called me and text me to ask for the clarification, which I also posted in the Blackboard. That homework assignment was actually asking you to talk about how can you come up with a good research problem. How can you come up with some justification, or you can justify a research for your audience to support you, or even to read your research. And you guys, some of you text me and said, well, I don't have any prior knowledge of these things. I don't know even what to do. Even with the clarification, some of you said, still, we don't understand what is research problem. So, as I said, this is my first time to teach this class at CUNY, and I was expecting such kind of challenges, but I wish I had opportunity to explain further about it. But even with the clarification which I posted, I saw that a number of you were able to change their posts and actually come up with a good approach to that question. So basically, that question was looking at how can you justify any research. Let's say you are analyzing profit of a company. Why should you do that? You're analyzing sales of a company. What is the reason behind it? The reason that can justify the need for that study. Like today, I was discussing with 2 students who attended our conference call, and I shared with them an example of what I did when Ebola erupted in West Africa. So what I did was I talked to WHO organization and asked them if I can go to that place to do a research. You see, that by itself will not validate or will not make them to make a decision and say, hey, go and do the research. They wouldn't do that. So all I did was to come up with reasons to justify the need to do the research. And as I shared with those two students, I mentioned what I did in that research was I needed to go to do research in that area, and I came up with one reason that could make this institution to pay for my trip and to pay for the work that I want to do. And for me, I studied and I found out that although the problem was known, but there were no knowledge of the pattern of the spread of the disease. And so I thought there was a need to learn or to look at the pattern of it so that they could approach or they could address it properly. And so that by itself justified the need to do the research, and I was funded and I went and I did the research and I came up with some outcomes. So in this case, or this question was, actually required you to come up with some good or some ideas on how you can validate or you can justify a particular research. And if you guys had the knowledge, I thought you could come up with examples like the one which I just shared. But anyways, you put a lot of effort, and you may not have the prior knowledge, and I understood, but the efforts that you guys put in that homework assignment were also rewarded. And I'll say they were rewarded accordingly. Anyways, now we are done with those two homework assignments, which were discussion board postings. In this week, we have this homework assignment, which we have extended submission to be on Monday. So I have seen like many students have issues, and I've received a number of text messages and phone calls, which actually I appreciated because they made me to understand earlier that there is a problem and we needed to talk together so that I could hear from you, and also I would clarify some issues. Anyways, so this homework assignment is not about Tableau. Although you can see that you are required to study about Tableau and do something, we are not learning Tableau in specific. What actually we are starting to do is to analyze data. Now, there are two types of data, or two sources of data. One is to get the data from the source, like those questions which you guys developed and ask people. That we call that approach, or the answers or the data which you could get, we call that primary data, because you're getting it right from the source. Now in business, we don't really focus more or that much on the primary data. We normally focus on the secondary data which has already been collected, and so we use that data and we analyze it and get some evidence which will help in decision making. So because we get secondary data, we are not going to discuss about how do we collect secondary data, but we will look at some secondary data like the VistaBin example. That is the available data which has been collected by somebody, and so for us is to go and analyze the data. Now, there are two main types of data analysis. One is descriptive analysis, and the other is predictive analysis. Or in other words, we have descriptive analytics and predictive analytics. Descriptive analytics is just to summarize data and describe the data the way we can see it. There are a number of ways of describing data, and one is by viewing the data. And that's why we need some software or ways that can present data in a way that we can look at it and be able to analyze the data easily. So data visualization is one of the approaches in statistics to describe the data. Now you can see that the sources or the data that we have is not a simple data. It is a big data. And you cannot look at you cannot look at the data and conclude on that data itself, because it's we have the data itself. Let me say this: the data which we have, for instance, the Vista bins, the data set is huge, and therefore when you look at the data itself, you cannot tell anything. It doesn't make any sense. But we can actually summarize that data by using tabular form or by using some graphical analysis. And by doing so, then we can come up with some decisions. So, because we cannot do it manually, given the data set itself, so we seek for a software that can help us to analyze the data appropriately. We could use any software, but the best software which was selected was the Tableau. We could use Excel, we could use any software that is possible. Like there is one student who told me he or she couldn't get access to Tableau, and I told her or him that if you can use pivot table to do the analysis, and if you think you are good at it, you can go ahead and actually use pivot table. But all I know is Tableau is a good software for data visualization, because it can do all these kind of operations, and so that's why we're using it. Now, you may not know the Tableau. In this topic here, or in this section, you can see that some information were provided for you first to be able to download the software, and second, to get to know about it a little bit. You don't need to know about Tableau completely. You don't have to have a full knowledge of Tableau, and I'm sure you will not, but at least get some knowledge of the Tableau itself and be able to analyze data to some level. So basically what is needed here is not the Tableau itself, but we need Tableau to be able to analyze data. So there is a file which was attached, which is known as VistaBin's Coffee Shop Solution. This file actually provides information on how you can do this homework assignment. So I will say it directly. If you can follow the solutions which are posted here, then that is enough. But when I was discussing with the two students, I told them that this class is not about me. You're not here just to satisfy me. This class is about you. And so these solutions or these approaches are important. You can actually replicate them, you can follow them, you can do whatever you want. But also, if you can go further than these solutions, that will be wonderful, because you can learn more. First of all, you need to learn more how to create data visualizations. Not only what are mentioned here, but you can go further than that. And also, you may want to do more analysis and enjoy what you're doing. But also, you can follow what is in here. And use this as a roadmap for you on what you're supposed to do. I'm not sure if they used exactly the same data that we have, but if you can follow what actually is in here, that will be wonderful. For instance, you can see that data visualizations which are needed could be the line graphs, the bar graphs, the map graphs, but also you can come up with anything that you think is possible, which you have learned in a Tableau. Now, other than the rubrics, let me go down here. Here we have a number of examples. Like if you look at this example, what is important here, for instance, you can see that the vertical line is about profit and sales, and the horizontal line shows months. So without reading information which is there, then I know basically that the person was trying to look at profits, and also he or she was trying to look at the sales. Sorry, let me go down here. You see the sales and the profits, and the sales of what, or profits based on what. In this case, you can see that this individual was not looking at sales of a particular product, but he or she was looking at sales and compare the locations, the general sales, and compare with the locations which are the central, east, south, and west. And also he was looking, or she was looking at sales in 2 years, 2012 and 2013. And so these are the outcomes which he or she came up with. Now, by looking at the cells here, you can see that this location had good cells, but the west had more cells, had actually the best cells. South had really poor cells for the 2 years. Now, if you look at the profits, you can see that although west side or west location had good sales, but they had poor profits. They didn't make good profits at that moment. But the south had poor sales and poor profit. They didn't make well in profit. You can see this, the central had good sales, but not like west, but they made really good profits for both years. And you look at the trend, the line or the trend itself, you can see they were more or less similar. So if you're advising this company to improve their profits or to maximize profit, we could tell them, first of all, this their market in the south market wasn't doing well, so they shouldn't even put effort there, or they should put effort in terms of marketing, advertising more so they can boost profit. If that doesn't work, then maybe they should abandon that market. And they should maybe for the west, probably they put a lot of advertisements, a lot of marketing there. So that's why they had a lot of sales. But, they had less profit because, profit, you take revenue minus cost. And so probably they spend a lot of money in marketing, and that's why they have less profit as compared to Central, where they may have put some marketing efforts, but they didn't put as much as what they did in the West. So you see, you just do some analysis yourself, but you are able to do the analysis after you are able to use Tableau to do this kind of visualization. So in this case here, it's not about Tableau, but it's the output which we have. And as I told those two individuals that participated in our conference call was, I don't need the whole of Tableau, but all I need for you is to copy this and post it in Word and give me the analysis, because I'll be able to see this output, and then I'll look at your analysis based on the output. That's all I need. And in your case, you need to know Tableau and how you can operate it to get this kind of outcome. Okay, so then you can follow another example, which you can also look for another example. Like this example here was to focus on one item, which is coffee latte, and looking at compare between South and West. Those are the two markets which this individual was trying to do. You don't have to do this, but if you can do this, that's okay. You can also look you can compare products in both locations and see how the performance is, and then you provide your outcome. You're not supposed, you can do this, but also you can do something else. The other example here was to look at the different products in terms of some metrics. So here we have Amarillo, coffee latte, green tea, regular, espresso. I don't know if that is the same product that you have. I think you may have a little different products. And so you're comparing this with a number of metrics. And why are we comparing these products in terms of metrics? Because we're trying to see the difference between those products, not the location, but the products. We could also look at locations and stuff, but the point here is we need to look at these metrics based on each product. That's the objective. Now, if you look at this outcome here, we can see that we can see the sales of each product and which product is selling more. We could look also on the profits, and you can see that this product here, although they may have a lot of sales, but they're not making profit. And if they're not making profit, what are the efforts which you think the company will employ? Or probably just eliminate this good, because you're selling more, you're spending a lot of money, and you're not making profit. Either you may leave this in the market, not for profit, but for some other reasons to satisfy that particular consumers, so they can keep on buying other products, or you can eliminate it. It all depends on what you are suggesting. Remember, here you are providing some suggestions. Those suggestions can be okay or may not be okay, but at least they are based on what we can see. You can follow this example and provide similar kind of explanations, or you can provide your own. In most cases, you can provide your own. You don't want to explain exactly what they are saying. So you can see here, this particular individual didn't submit Tableau, the whole of Tableau, but all they did was to copy and paste in Word and provide explanation underneath it. So Tableau was only used to facilitate this summary of the output. So what actually they did, just to get experience and provide more information for yourselves. But it's good when you're doing, when you're working with Tableau, like if you can see here, how they could come up with this map and these bar charts and put all of them together. So now that depends on how you can operate the Tableau. And I will emphasize more, please be more creative. Feel like this is the work you're doing. Provide as much information as you want. Trust me, if you make mistakes, I will look at what you have submitted and I'll correct your mistakes for better understanding, but I'm not going to punish you for doing a good work. Okay, guys? So read this as much as you can, and this should help you to do your own work. So now let me go to Tableau. As I said, there were a number of videos which were presented for you guys to look at and be able to know how to do or how to operate Tableau. You don't have to view or to review all those videos. But basically, let's look at this Tableau itself and see what actually is needed here. Very basic things that you need in Tableau. First of all is to be able to get the software itself. And there are some explanations on how you can get this software. Second is how you can get the data which you need to use, the secondary data. And there are some explanations on how you can download the VistaBeans data. I'm sure nobody had issues to download the file because there is enough information about it. Now, the third thing to do is to bring the file, the Excel file which you have downloaded, into Tableau. And that will provide your data source, which we have here. Now, the good thing with Tableau is you don't work on the data source. Your data source is there, but you can open different sheets, which you can click here to add more sheets. You work in one sheet, you get what you want, you leave it there. Like myself, I was working on this sheet here. I opened the other sheet, we got number 2 here, and then I got what I got, and then I will open another sheet, which is sheet number 3, and do what I wanted to do. And I could add more sheets as I wanted, or I could open the dashboard where I'll be able to bring all the outputs which I get in sheet number 1, 2, and 3, and so forth. You can bring all of them together and create what we call dashboard. So that is very important to understand. Now, the other thing is this side of Tableau. Here you can see that we have this, the column, or we call vertical axis, and the horizontal axis. If you have been working with Excel, it is the same. Like for you to create any graph or the bar charts, you need to know what you're going to put in horizontal axis and what you will put in vertical axis. Especially if you took statistics, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so Tableau will provide you with opportunity to create this kind of this is where you have vertical and horizontal, so you can have two or more variables, and compare them together, and that will give you some kind of results. Here we have cells in the vertical, and then you could look at time. So what you're looking for is, are the cells increasing over time? So you can see the pattern of cells over time. And in that way, you can actually come up with some suggestions. I'll give you an example here. If you look at this, the inventory, I'll say, you can see that the inventory was increasing up to this point here. And then it went down for a little bit, and then it picked up and go up. So why the inventory increased in the first up to the fourth quarter, and then it started to go down for the 2 quarters, and then it went up, depending on the situation of what happened at that moment. So the Tableau will help you to actually compare 2 or more variables. So which variables are we comparing? If you look on this side of Tableau, you can see we have measures or metrics. And these are the items which we are actually measuring. Now for the Vista bin, you can see that we have COGS, the inventory, the margins, marketing in the sense that how much are we spending in advertisements. We can see also we have profits and we have sales and so forth. These are the metrics which we need to measure and evaluate. But the metrics, or the question is, metrics of what? For instance, we're looking at profits. Then we're looking profits of what? Are we looking at profits of a location if we are comparing locations? Or are we looking for the profits over a period of time? Or are we looking at profits of a particular product? We need to know profits based on what? So if you look here at the rows, that's where we put things which will be in rows. So we need items which will be in the columns. The horizontal line actually will base on the columns, and the vertical line will base on the rows. That's simple. So as I said, here we have measures or the metrics which we are measuring based on these dimensions, which are names or locations. Dimensions can be locations, the products, and so forth. Now, dimensions in most cases are in names, or we say they are discrete values, and the measures are continuous values. For instance, here we are looking at, let's take markets, meaning locations, or we're talking about states. And so our metrics, if we are to compare between states and the metrics, maybe we are looking at profits in different states, or we may look at different markets, profits in those markets, or we can focus on the products themselves. So we can look at the profits based on the type of product, or we can compare between a number of products. And so how do we do that? So it all depends on what you want it to go to the rows and what you want it to go to the columns. Let me open up very quickly the new worksheet. Okay, this is the new worksheet which I have nothing there. So let me drag profit, and I want my profits to be in the vertical, and I want to compare profit, or I'm trying to look at profit based on time. Let me take date and put it here. So you can see that we are looking for this period of time, because here the date itself shows the year. So you can change it and make it like monthly. So you can see the profit, or the general profit for this company based on the number of months. And I can talk about it. I can make a summary out of these results here. So the pattern of sales was like this. Now, if I'm to look for the years, let me go back to the year. So you can see that sales or profits have been increasing from 2012 and 2013. If I click Control and drag years to colors, so you can see that there are differences in colors between 2012 and 2013. So basically, colors, you can use colors as you want, but that is not necessary in this case. It's just to make it look fancy, but it's not really needed. So I may not even need to use colors but that will be okay. I can see it. And in this case, you see I'm using line. What if I want to use the bar charts? So you can see that I can see the profit here, that profits in 2012 and profits also in 2013. And if you go to this side of the Tableau and click show me, so you can see different ways of showing this. So for instance, you can use the bar charts, which are horizontal, or you can use this particular bar chart, or you can use the lines as we did. It all depends on how do you want it to show this. Or even actually you can use the maps if you're looking at different locations. Let me make a very quick summary. You can open a number of sheets as you want and play around with this. And all you have to know is what metrics are you looking at. We may want to know how much did we spend here in this markets. So here we have profits, but also we look at how much did we spend in each market, and we can compare with the profits. We can also compare with sales, bring the sales there, and we see the sales in each market. And I hate using colors, so I can change this and maybe using just the bar charts. Sorry, this will be much better. And I may remove the colors or leave the colors here. And remember, I selected this kind of bar charts, which will help me to understand the marketing, the profit, the sales for one market for different years and another location for different years. And so if I look at this immediately, I will see in this case here we are making less profit compared with other locations, and that is the south. You don't have to come up with the same results as what we have in this solution, but now this is the results we have, different outcomes, but they talk more or less the same. So you present this chart for me and you look at the profit. You can tell me here profit is little, and also for both years as compared to other places. And you can talk more as you can discuss further if you have more information or if you want to make more analysis. So Tableau should be very easy thing if you understand exactly what you are looking for. The problem is not about Tableau, but what do you want Tableau to do for you? Do you want Tableau to compare the market and the date versus the profit, the sales, the marketing, the inventory, the COGS, or anything? What metrics do you need to analyze based off whatever you want? So that's all. And if you guys may have any other questions, let me know. As I mentioned in my posts, you can text or call me 24 hours. I am available 24 hours. Or you can send me email, which I will respond to you within 24 hours. And some students have been texting me 2 o'clock in the morning, and I will respond promptly unless I'm driving or unless I am in a meeting or I'm doing something. If you have any problem, don't hesitate to get in touch with me. As I always tell my students, this class is not about me, it is about you. You are spending money to learn something new, which you will need it in your future endeavors. For me, I'm done. I know this, and I'm teaching this and get paid from your money. So you better make use of your money by actually asking me questions, because I'm here to facilitate your understanding. As I said, you're doing homework assignment, not for me. but for you, for better understanding. And I'm here to help you. So you have my phone number. Text me, call me at any moment, or send me email, and I'll be happy to respond to you. Thank you, guys.